Yes.
So I just muted him, Robert. So, okay, he's going to be, I think we are live. So I unmuted you, Dr. Fuhrman. So
I'm
you
good.
can,
I went into a more quiet room.
okay, perfect. But that room was really good. Okay, for those of you who are tuning in, we have our big time teacher, Dr. Joel Fuhrman. So make sure that you start sharing this with everybody. If you belong to a group, the Heal Tribe, well, of course, the Heal Tribes already knows that we're on, but make sure you invite, that you tag, because this information, starting yesterday, we were talking about nutrition and the importance of a healthy and optimal nutrition lifestyle. And so today we're going to continue that conversation as I shared with you yesterday. So right now I am going to hit the record button because we want to make sure that Dr. Fuhrman's time is right on our schedule here. So we don't want to waste any more of his time than we have to. I am excited. He just walked through his Eat to Live retreat center, and there was a lot of people learning about this. But all of us get to learn from Dr. Fuhrman without having to go to the retreat center yet. The goal is to eventually get there, like I did just recently. It was a lot of fun. So fasten your seatbelts because we are going to learn and grow together. Here we go. Time to dance, Dr. Fuhrman. Someday I'm going to get you to dance.
The Lillian McDermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be right here, right here. And when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for
you. This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening friends and viewing friends. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who are tuning into the classroom for the first time, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friends on Facebook and YouTube, and also BitChute, so please subscribe there, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, yesterday, like I said earlier in the intro, yesterday, we started it with, and when I mentioned this name, Dr. Fuhrman is going to know all about him. But Dr. Stefan Esser was in the classroom yesterday, and he was talking about very much what Dr. Fuhrman talks about. And so this is a continuation of this conversation because there is an emotional side of eating. And I've said, as healthy as I eat, I do believe I have an unhealthy relationship with food, not to the point where it's a problem, but just awareness that I could do better. And that knowing that I could do better means that I have room to grow. And I believe most of us do too. And so today we're going to continue our conversation that we started with Dr. Fuhrman last month and that we consistently have throughout, weaving in and out of everything that we talk about here in the classroom. But we're going to talk about the nutritarian lifestyle and how I made a commitment to go 95%, not 80, not 75, not, maybe 100, but give me that little leeway just in case that I would not feel that I failed myself. So I would say 95%, but I was at 100% during the 4 weeks. And I continue to stay that way. And it's amazing how that little 5-10% tweak makes a huge difference. And so today, Dr. Fuhrman is back, world-renowned, best-selling author, New York Times, has taught us so much in the last, since 2015, has taught us so much. He's back to teach us a little bit more about emotional eating and what we can do to be aware and tweak it so that we could be at optimal health. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I'm so grateful that Dr. Fuhrman is back in the classroom. Thank you, Dr. Fuhrman, for coming on. I know you're really busy.
No, I'm not busy.
You just climbed over a bunch of people. I saw that you are busy. Thank you so much.
I'm just enjoying life. I'm just enjoying life and having fun because my work is fun too.
Yes. And isn't
And I'm
that
busy with things I like to do.
Good, good. And you're full-time in California now?
I am, except the fact that my son is still in New Jersey and just graduated high school. So I still had to run back there last week for his graduation, and I still have to go back there again. So it's just like, other than family matters, I'm living in California. But my son is actually going to college out here, starting his first year at UCSD in September. So he'll be out here too. And then my whole family will be in California. I won't be running back and forth.
Very good. I'm very happy for you because that takes a lot of pressure off of you, having to fly from one end of the country to the other. So today, Dr. Fuhrman, we're going to be talking about food issues when it comes to like emotional eating. And so what is the difference between emotional eating and an eating disorder, or is there any difference?
Wow. Well, you could say that this crisis we have, the disease crisis and obesity crisis we have in the modern world, is the result of people, they're creating this problem by what they're eating. And it's a result of emotional eating, recreational eating, addictive eating, and also the nature of modern foods that are designed to induce overeating, all those things. And so, so we can say that, that it's hard to separate all the factors involved because they intermingle and become intertwined with each other. It's hard to pull them out all as a thread. So if they're all mixed together and connected to each other in some way that's hard to untangle. So we have to discuss them all individually, untangle them one at a time, and then the whole will start to improve. I don't know if that had answered your question.
No, this is great. It's great because, the more we, I call it a soul shovel, Dr. Fuhrman. It's digging deep enough until you see your truth. What's true for me may not be what's true for somebody else. And so to be able to say, okay, it's more than just one answer. There's different layers. And just when you think that you've gotten to the root cause, you just went down one layer. Once you get to that one layer, then you're open to the next layer, because sometimes we block ourselves to that root cause because we're scared or we are ignoring some signs that we have. So when you get to that next layer, then perhaps maybe you have permission to go to the next and the next. And so I see that multifaceted. So
that's absolutely true. And that's why I begin emotional overeating issues with the physical, the toxic hunger and the physical drive to overeat from eating the wrong foods. That's where I begin, because you're never going to get anywhere if you don't reduce the physical cravings and the ill feelings and the fatigue and the headaches and the cramping and all the things that make people want to eat more food. That's number one. But then, like peeling back the layers of the onion, it's not enough, because we still have recreational eating, emotional eating, and then the people have been socialized and normalized in the modern world to go after pleasure by things that hurt them versus going after pleasure by things that help them. And the way they go after pleasure is just as bad as eating junk food and perpetuates the desire to eat unhealthfully. So it's all intertwined, because as you're aware, and we've discussed, is that the more you eat processed foods and sweets and oils, the more it increases your risk of developing depression and anxiety. And then you get withdrawal depression and withdrawal anxiety from going off these foods that you've created this illicit love affair with. So people know they're overweight. They, in some way, know they're sick in some way. They're on medications. They're diabetic. They don't feel well. Their blood pressure's rising. They're gaining weight. They don't, and so you would think, well, why don't they just eat less calories and eat healthfully? Wouldn't you think if you're overweight and not feeling well, you're going to eat healthfully? But they don't seem to be able to do it. So why they know that eating lettuce and carrots and broccoli is good for them. Why don't they just stop eating all the junk and eat lettuce and carrots and broccoli? Why can't they do that? But it's more complicated because the layers of the human are so complicated here. And it's not just that doctors give medications. It's also that this becomes what they live for. They're living for this recreational pleasure because their life doesn't give them sufficient passion and pleasure and reward system. Their only reward the only rewards they get are that quick hit of dopamine and that quick feeling of taste through the tongue. They're living their life in a dysthymic state because the food itself, the lack of nutrients and the lack of quality of their diet causes dysthymia. And dysthymia means not being excited about life, having a flat affect and not caring much about anything. You're not thrilled about living. You're not depressed. You're not going to kill yourself. You're going to work. You're making your money. You're going on the weekends to go to the bar and have some alcohol, or to go out to a party, or to drink and go to a restaurant. You're living for these pleasurable activities. But other than pleasurable activities that hurt your health, nothing else in life has much meaning for you. And that's the socialized process that starts to hurt people because it's all intertwined. And we can go into any of these tangents because it's so much complicated. This onion is so complicated because people go after pleasure by wanting to make more money, wanting to get accolades from other people, wanting to go after more, and they want to impress and get the approval of others. They want to feel they're special. And all those, you could say, weak personality weaknesses that have been ingrained in them to try to get the approval of others and try to look like they're in some way important.
They belong.
It's weakened them because it's almost like they're developing addiction to this cycle. So they become psychologically addicted to collecting praise or it doesn't work. It leaves you unfulfilled. And then they have no true passion. And they don't have the ability to emote because all those things make you reduce your humanity. What I'm saying right now is that when you eat right, you appreciate the food you're eating. You have tremendous gratitude for it. You're taking your time to chew it, to liberate every nutrient that piece of broccoli can give you, because you experience and you appreciate the wonder of that broccoli. And you're so grateful for the person who grew it, who prepared it for you, who made the seeds, whatever we're grateful for the whole, and for Mother Earth too. And if we could see this triangle of, how should I say, appreciation for reality, recognizing the aesthetic structure of the earth and even of the universe, the beauty in the world around us, the scientific beauty of what real natural foods can give us, and our gratitude for having those foods. We have to be grateful and to be able to see reality with the depth it deserves. And if we can't see the wonder and beauty there around us, of the clouds, of the woods and of the forest, if we can't see what's in there, we're not going to value what we're eating and the beauty that's in that food. And we can use the aesthetic structure to give value to other people and to try to improve their value, meaning having goodwill for them. If we're not having gratitude, if we're not appreciating what the world around us, and we're not trying to have goodwill for other people, then you're not having a triad of passion that's going to enable you to eat healthfully. Because eating healthfully makes you different than other people. It makes you unless you have self-esteem for the right reasons, you're not going to get the approval from other people from eating this way. You'd get disapproval. And if you can't tolerate, if you don't have enough integrity, by integrity, I mean a foundation of self-esteem that's based on gratitude and your desire to have goodwill for other people. If you're looking for approval from other people, you're not going to be able to do this. You have to be able to be comfortable with being different, but you're okay being comfortable being different because you know that what you're doing is, you know, deep inside that would hold up in a French court of justice. You know, you know that what you're doing is a life that has the right emotions and the right care for other people. When you have narcissistic tendencies, like some people we know, some politicians we know, then you can't appreciate and have grateful for your life and your ability to love and emote and care for others is weakened. And your happiness comes from how much you can emote and care for other people and feel about things. Your ability to feel for things is the foundation of your happiness. And the more you go after instant gratification, and the more you go after trying to be superior to other people and diminishing their importance or value, the more you weaken your humanitarianism and your ability to emote and care for other people. In the long run, it's your real happy life is based on your ability to care about, to love, to feel for, to feel things, to be affected by things in the universe and the outside world that have the ability to make you feel good and respect things around you. I'm talking about this today because we usually talk about food and the physical nature, the biological effects of food addiction on the brain with dopamine, and the stimulating effects of food making you eat more things. But all these things are intertwined and hard and have to be unraveled. This is what we do at the retreat to a degree, because people stay, because you can't, in other words, what I'm saying tonight can't change a person's life overnight. These things have to be learned and practiced. And it takes time to withdraw from the addictive withdrawal so you can appreciate, so you have a point of, you get to a point where you can be able to look at this with clarity where you want to. When you're dealing with people coming off addiction, they're so angry, they're so upset, and they have been in this prison of addiction for so long. And that prison of addiction has sucked their humanity out of them. Because the more, if we can draw that addictive spectrum on a line from mildly addicted to severely addicted, we can draw that same line of your ability to have goodwill for others and to really have a life of purpose and passion. And the more you're an addict, when you're a drug addict on cocaine and heroin, you can steal from people, you can lie, you can cheat, you can do anything for your habit. When you're a food addict, you're not a good parent, you're not a good brother, you're not a good worker, you're not a dependable, you're not the person to be respected as a food addict, because to a degree that food addiction drives your behavior, to that degree, it weakens your ability to be the full person you could have become on that spectrum line. And when people are learning to make this food taste great, to retrain their taste buds, they're also at the same time retraining their appreciation of the beauty and magic of natural foods, the ability it has to heal the body and to give us a full life and to give us a full emotional life. And when you mix that with the mindfulness that we're talking about today on this call, then we can say we can graduate people from the retreat here or from my work they can be graduated with the ability to love this way of eating and to love their life because of it. So people have trouble because they have too many problems in their life. This is all intertwined, and you're talking about the layers of this onion that's very complicated, and we're trying to unravel some of it and explain to people the complicated issues involved here.
Yeah, and I was looking forward to our conversation today because since 2015, we've talked about a nutritarian lifestyle. We've talked about, diabetes, reversing, and all this stuff. But the emotional component that is entwined with everything that we do, because that's part of our subconscious mind that has been with us since we were in utero. And as we're coming out, we're developing these images that everything that we see for the first 7 years become our subconscious mind. We're like human little tape recorders, and we're recording the way we see. And we've talked about this before, that really we don't necessarily inherit our family's DNA, because you can turn on and off by the way we eat, but we also inherit the family recipes. And so as we inherit the family recipes, that's what turns on our DNA. And so when we're looking at our mindset and the stuff that we inherited because we saw it over and over again, and now it's become our subconscious mind, Now we've developed a limiting belief. And I will tell you, I changed my lifestyle. I changed my lifestyle a long time ago when it comes to nutrition, but I was not at optimal health until I met you, Dr. Fuhrman. Prior to meeting you, for the 3 years prior to meeting you, I was eating raw vegan. But that's where my nutrition journey had taken me, to raw vegan. But then I learned about nutritarian, and for me, that felt right for me. But what I don't know if I've shared this with you before, I've been made fun of about the way I ate because it was different than my family. It was different than my friends. I was called picky. I was called, oh, don't go to her first. I was mocked. And still, sometimes I am. So for Father's Day, and I had 12 women, and because I made that commitment to go 100% during that time, I was eating all the nutritarian, nutritious foods that you had planned and laid out for us. And I also, by the way, started eating some great recipes from the Eat to Live Quick and Easy, because on my lifestyle, I've got a lot of things to do. So the next time I invited my girlfriends, 12 of them came over for an event that I had at my home. And everything I made was nutritarian, everything I made. And I was scared that I was going to be rejected. And then that went so well, by the way, that for Father's Day, everything I made was nutritarian. So I told them that, that I wanted to feed them food to live for, not to die for. And I asked them to be open. And if they didn't like it, I was more than happy to make something else, but that I wanted them to give me this opportunity to share this kind of food. And I had to take a leap of faith and trust that I was okay if they made fun of me, that it was, and it was a mindset that I needed to overcome.
Right. Definitely.
But it still was a little scary.
I hear you. And you're right, because we all have part of that in us, and it's not black and white.
Yeah.
I'm saying this type of mindfulness thinking is something to strive for, that we all can improve on.
Yes.
None of us are perfect in this.
Yes.
We all, because you said we inherited this way of cooking, this style of eating from our parents, but we inherit this style of thinking.
Yes.
And going after human pleasure from our parents. We think that being the best baseball player, the soccer player, getting all A's, we try to impress other people. We try to get into the best college. We try to succeed. We're revved up to high output, being the best, beating out other people, getting the best grades. We're going after accolades. And sometimes for the purpose of accolades in itself, which imbalances the fact that our lives should revolve around learning and practicing care for others and feelings for others, and trying to understand other people and caring for the earth and for nature and appreciating it. And in other words, but there's no learning about that as a child. It's all one-sided about going after other people's approval and trying to beat out other people in a competitive manner. And I lived with that life my whole life. And, it makes you very nervous. Yeah. It makes you excited. I'm worried about your own performance. It makes you unable to sleep at night. It keeps you, and what I'm saying to you is that we perform much better, and we can do better in life, even become more productive, when we inherently are not driven to have this, driven to be better than other people. And it leads to the disposition that people have to try to make less of other people or diminish their importance as a means of establishing your own superiority.
Yes.
And that's a terrible weakness in character that weakens people's ability. And I'm saying right now, an example might be if a person comes in contact with me at some event or a party, and they say, oh, I'd rather be dead than eat the way you tell people to eat it. Because if I had to live on carrots and celery the rest of my life, just shoot me right now, because I'd rather not live. Who wants to be that healthy anyway? Because
I've heard that, yeah.
So now, instead of trying to defend myself, I'm not interested in making myself look good or interested in my own defense. I'm thinking to myself, okay, what's the best way, in the most creative and impactful way I can have goodwill for this person?
Yeah.
How could I perhaps use my knowledge to help their life in some positive way. And it doesn't really have to have worked, but at least I'm making the attempt to have a good effect in their life. And and my own feelings are not in the mix.
Mhm.
And how they see me is not in the mix. It's all about the best thoughts to have under these situations of having people come and you feeling judged. The best thoughts to have is take yourself out of the equation of being judged and just try to think unobstructed about what would have the best possibility of having goodwill for that person. And showing that you are, that you are steadfast in your desire to eat healthfully and how much you enjoy it and how it is part of having goodwill for another person.
Mhm.
Because if you can't do it, they're not going to do it either. And if you
Right.
can't enjoy it, why should they think they can enjoy it?
Yes.
But the facts are that when you eat right, you could learn to have it taste great. Your taste buds do improve and get stronger. And we enjoy eating this way just as much as people enjoy eating unhealthfully. But when you eat unhealthfully, it comes along with so much baggage, not just to destroy your physical health, but baggage that destroys your emotional health and your ability to have a long and healthy life in your later years as well. So where we've been driven to as a nation, or you could say in the modern world, with this combinational between the fast food movement, right? The advertisements or promotion of unhealthy foods on the world's population, and also this idea of people going after pleasure by feeling they're above and superior to other people and putting them down, which of course leads to bigotry and racism and nationalism and wars and religious bigotry. Religion is mostly,
We're seeing it right now. Yeah.
we're seeing it right now. It's mostly religions are gangs of violence against other gangs who have different, it's still the nature of trying to be better than others and think that you're superior and other people are inferior. And we've developed this modern way of thinking in the modern world that's that has the potential to destroy the planet, even destroying the future of the human race, because we've gone in the wrong direction. And that's why we're talking about this today. Those of us who are into lifestyle medicine and healthy eating realize that without also talking about the other ways that we've gone wrong emotionally, psychologically in the world too, we're not gonna have the possibility of fixing what's gone wrong. And people have to look at both these issues and be more, realize that we've gone in a terrible direction that's been intensified in these last years in the political direction that Trump has taken us,
Well, when I think of the last 4 months and how everybody's been in captivity, really,
Yes.
and that's really easy there were no gyms available. There was nothing that was available for us other than the grocery stores. And some of these grocery stores don't have healthy options. So a lot of us were eating not as healthy as in the past, or there were some limitations. And so I'm seeing that things are just getting worse. And you said something at the beginning that that processed foods are designed to kind of numb you, to make you want to have that hit, and so if we are eating processed foods and we're told that if you're sad, you're depressed and that you need to take a pill, and we're being told by all these different people that are in social media, they're the influencers and they are not eating well. So to hear you say that these foods are designed to numb you, to hijack your taste buds, and then you have the pharmaceutical drugs that are doing the same thing. It's no wonder we have so many zombies walking out there not knowing what to do. So let's go back to the fact that when we were doing this 21-day challenge, we did the infection protection, and some of us started just taking that concept and taking recipes out of your Eat to Live, Quick and Easy, or any of your other books. I learned, like, when you go 100%, that you don't crave those foods anymore. The food is so delicious that you start to heal. You start that first layer of healing because you get excited. I mean, how many women did you see in the group that you spoke to a week or so ago? about how excited they are about eating a nutritarian lifestyle. I mean, it's amazing, but we just need to break that limiting belief that eating healthy is carrots and celery and rabbit food. That's so far from it.
Right. And of course, we all, us nutritarians, most of us, love eating this way and love the food. But that takes time to achieve that. People are also used to going for instant gratification, getting instantaneous results. They don't see the long-term picture. It takes you have to initiate, you have to take the initiative, but it also takes dedication, determination, and repetition to achieve what you've, let's say, achieved and I've achieved. And what this achievement means that I love eating this way.
Mm-hmm.
The food tastes great. The salad dressing is kind of like
I love them.
melts in your mouth, and the soups are delicious. And conventional food isn't even as tasty, and our taste buds have gradually acclimated to what we're eating. So we can marry together with eating something so healthfully and appreciate it on an emotional and intellectual level of how what we're doing to our body, almost seeing the image of how what we're eating tastes good, but it's also magnificent for our insides. I'm eating something that I know is great for me. It tastes really good. I'm chewing it really well. I'm getting pleasure in taking care of my brain and taking care of my heart. And I'm doing good things for my body as I'm eating it. But what I'm saying right now is that takes persistence and repetition and time and some knowledge and application and study. There's some effort to achieve that. After all, Roger Federer didn't become like the great tennis player he is without years and years of effort in perfecting those perfect movements of that swing that he has, where his racket goes back exactly at 180 degrees and his wrist cocks 30 degrees. His arm straightens; it doesn't bend till it crosses his chin, and then it might start to bend. Everything's so absolutely technically correct. But he didn't just do it; just didn't do that, and he had to spend years of not caring if he won or lost, of not caring where the ball went, of perfecting the perfect strokes. And then eventually, so it showed incredible persistence and good coaching when he's young. And what I'm saying right now is this takes some degree of persistence and good coaching when you're starting out to be a success in doing this. Because when you start doing it wrongly, and when you, like you're saying too, and you never really can get the full appreciation, because you never really get your taste buds to fully change when you keep throwing in those other foods that are superly highly palatable and overly sensitized with all the sugar and salt and spices and all the way that the things that are, and the caloric concentration. It's like giving the alcoholic a drink on the weekends and saying, well, let's see if you're giving the person a smoke or another shot of cocaine and expecting them not to want it anymore. You have to abstain long enough for those desires to lessen. And when you don't, and the mind also gets angry and threatened, and you get self-delusional thoughts to protect the primitive brain from not being able to claim its addictive hit, that you actually begin to think of things, oh, well, that's not for me because I could never do that anyway. Couldn't eat that way because my work schedule wouldn't allow it. And I have to go out in these restaurants with clients, and I travel too much, and my family wouldn't do it. And then so it's one excuse after the other. As sensible as this sounds and as logical as it may be to take care of your health with eating better, you can't apply it because the primitive brain is addicted, and the addictive mentality is you're no longer in control of the bank. Your ability to think logically in your own best interest is lost because the drive to meet your addictive needs for dopamine have taken over part of your decision making and making you, and you can no longer make the right judgment about your own life. You no longer should be making decisions about your life. You don't have that capacity anymore. You're too addicted, and food addiction does this to people.
Yeah. That's
why they come to our retreat. And this is not a plug for the retreat. I'm just telling you how complicated this is sometimes with people. That's why they come to the retreat and we take back control over them, and they might be angry and irritable and complaining. But if they stay here long enough, their personalities change, and that addictive ghost living inside them lifts, and the real person emerges, and they start to be able to make better decisions about their life, to have gratitude, to appreciate what's around them, to really be grateful for not just being here, but are grateful for the people who planted the vegetables and made the seeds, and the people who picked those little tiny wild blueberries. How did you get those wild blueberries in that frozen food bag? That was like 10 hours of work to get a person to pick all those little blueberries in that little
Take
bag.
that bush, yeah.
They start to think in a more complex manner, and they're no longer being driven by it, and their thinking is no longer being suppressed and twisted by this desire to meet their addictive, to support this illicit love affair they have with these highly palatable foods that are designed by food scientists to be so addicting. So I can get to a person emotionally. We can change their personality. We help them like the world more and be happier in life in general. And that's all intermingled and part of the process, and having them no longer, and freeing them from their food addiction or their cocaine addiction or their alcohol addiction. It is somewhat complicated. At the same time, it's relatively simple. We're starting all over with people and building them back from the ground up to a degree, with the right attitude towards food and the right attitude and a better attitude about being happy in life, instead of the direction that they were going, which derailed them from their chance to have a happy and healthy life.
And that derailing is what we do to ourselves all the time. I coach so many people, and I usually have to incorporate nutrition in that coaching, because most people don't understand that food can affect their mood. And so I do want to address, and by the way, for those of you who are asking questions, I know that there's a question about a mask. I want to wait till after the class, because we were going to talk about about the mask, if the mask works or not. I promise you, as soon as we're done with the podcast, we'll ask that question. So Robert, remind me as soon as we're done with the class today. So one of the things that eating processed foods versus, I love how you described it as liberating the nutrients from the vegetables that we're eating. But when we're having processed foods, it's going to change the microbiome. And I want to talk about how those little bacterias, start moving in, like, all the bad bacteria starts going into the gut, and it starts making demands into the brain. And so I'd love to address how that also alters our choices and aids in the sabotage that we so comfortably do.
Well, it's interesting how everything is so intertwined. What's funny is that people will take one aspect of health, like your diet should be have a favorable glycemic load, let's say, and they'll call it the glycemic load diet, and that'll be the aspect they emphasize. Or that when you eat healthfully, your body is mildly alkaline. It's not that acidic, because with less animal products, you're not dumping so much acid in your digestive tract. It's not the acidity or alkalinity of the food that plays the difference. It's not having so much animal protein, which causes the body to make 1,000 times as much acid as the relative small amount of food that's in food. But in any case, they'll call it the alkaline diet. Well, yes, a diet should be relatively alkaline in the blood. Or they'll call it let's say we can call it the microbiome diet, and they'll favor talking about the microbiome and the bacteria balance in the gut. And I'm not diminishing them, and I can keep going on with certain things, whether it's the antioxidant diet or whatever we want to call it. But the point is, when you make the right food choices, when your dietary portfolio is made from the right foods, it supports all those individual aspects of a healthy diet. But it's only when the diet supports every aspect of good health is it excellent, like nutritional excellence, which I call a nutritarian diet. It's focused on all those areas that are accomplished simultaneously. Now, obviously, it's not just the amount of fiber and the complexity of fiber you consume, but it's also the complexity of different foods you consume in your diet that gives you a much wider breadth of microbiome diversity in the gut, which makes for better health and enables people to have better thoughts and control their appetite better. Now, we know that the breakdown product from fiber from the beneficial bacteria, especially bifidobacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids like butyrate becomes the primary messenger between the hypothalamus and the gut, which tells us you had enough food right now. You don't need any more food. There's enough butyrate production. When your diet doesn't contain sufficient fiber, the bacteria are not going to, the healthy bacteria are not going to breed there, because don't forget, the soil is everything. The bacteria that live there are whatever they're fed. If you feed them bad food, you get bad bacteria. If you feed them good food, you get good bacteria. But sometimes feeding them good food to make good bacteria is not enough, because they could still get indigestion, pain, headaches, because your bile is too acidic. The body is so toxic from years of overeating and eating improperly that you're so overweight and there's so much toxins tied in the fat supply that just temporarily replacing the microbiome or changing the microbiome or eating for a beneficial microbiome is not good enough, because people need time to heal, to detoxify, to lose weight. And what I'm saying right now is even the amount of fat a person carries, because fat cells are toxic magnets, that could interfere with developing a good microbiome and interfere with a recovery, that they have to lose weight as they're replenishing the microbiome. They have to reduce, they have to detoxify as they're replenishing them, as they're eating the right foods for the microbiome, because their symptoms are still going to be there as long as the body is dumping toxic waste products. What I'm saying right now is a person, when they understand fully all the aspects of health, then they have to give it some time to work, because you can't, it's this desire for instant results that makes people jump from maybe eating healthier to give up and doing something else or to give up and looking for something to make them feel better. They mistake getting well with feeling better, because sometimes when you adopt such a healthy way of eating, you're going to temporarily feel worse, not feel better. As you have heightened detoxification, you're dumping caustic acids from the biliary tree, from the gallbladder and the biliary tree out of your liver. And you're still going to have reduction of fat, which is liberating metabolic waste products into your circulation. So it's understanding and learning. And so when people learn the complexity and the entirety of this approach and how it affects all these different body parts, is when they can view it in a way, and it has the highest probability of working. We always say the person that learns this the most, and that's the person that has the best chance of succeeding, because a little bit of knowledge is dangerous. It's like a little bit of knowledge, they think, and it's not going to make them, it often leads them in the wrong direction. And so much in nutrition, people have a little bit of knowledge that's pushed them over in the wrong direction. They don't really have a comprehensive overview of all aspects of human nutrition that could affect them positively and negatively.
Okay, so that we've got lots of questions, Dr. Fuhrman. Before I start asking some of these questions, I want to encourage all of you to subscribe to whenyouneedafriend.com. While you're there, please make sure that you subscribe and follow to my YouTube channel, social media, BitChute, because BitChute is not censoring us. So it's very important that you also subscribe at BitChute. And also, while you're there, check out my sponsors. And my sponsors are right there. They're right here. So NORI, which is Nutritional Oncology Resource Institute, Keep Me Safe Organics, First Alternative Care, telemedicine, the pharmacy in Merritt Island, Live Longer Medical in Indian Atlantic, also Ground Therapy, Brain Tap, talk about rewriting the program. So please support my sponsors the way they're supporting the classroom. And last but not least, if you want to become an enrolled student, whatever you can donate, from $1 all the way to whatever you want, that would be appreciated too. Just help us grow the classroom. I just wanted to take that little break because this is so important. We want to change our body. We want to change our body, but we don't acknowledge to ourselves that our body, if our spirit and our mind and if our emotions are out of whack, our body is going to honor, withholding whatever it needs to withhold. And it's amazing. Once you clear that emotional aspect, the spirit and the mind, the body will release whatever it needs to release. I've seen miracles, people that have not dealt with abuse as children, or that once they start being able to release that and forgive and do, it's amazing how their body will change as well. And so with that in mind, Dr. Fuhrman, there are so many questions that people have, and I'm going to see if I can pick out some of the questions that might have to do with the emotional aspect of it. One of them is intermittent fasting. And so and the reason why I'm choosing that question from Manuel, it says intermittent fasting with a nutritarian plan works well as a question. And so so with that, when we fast, what does that do to our body? Because I know I went 5 days without eating and I did a water fast, and it's amazing how emotional that is too. So would you like to address that, intermittent fasting as well as just fasting?
Yeah, because how does people separate fasting or intermittent fasting from a nutritarian diet? That means, what's the point of going without food because it's not going to benefit you unless you have good nutrients in your tissues so you can successfully go without food and detoxify when you're not eating food. Mm-hmm. The ability of intermittent fasting to have benefits in the human body are only going to be realized if people are supplying the body with nutrients when they are not fasting. So what I'm saying right now is, when you're not eating, it's utilizing nutrients the body needs to detoxify and heal and repair. And just because healing and detoxification is enhanced in the non-feeding state, and intermittent fasting is good for us, yes, but it's only good for us if it's framed with excellent nutrition on both sides of the not eating time. And this is what people do wrong. They go on the 5-day water fast. They weren't eating healthy when they went into the water fast. And let me tell you something, most people who aren't even healthy enough to even think about water fasting, because unless you're being healthy for a good few months, you shouldn't even be considering that. And then after they come out of their water fast and they've lost the weight and maybe feeling better and their blood pressure is normalized, gradually they go back to their former way of eating and the problem is back again.
Correct.
That's, so it's not that I'm not for these things, but my 3 decades of working in this field and seeing so many failures of people that are looking for instantaneous results has made me a little bit colored already about being cautious with people, making sure we prepare them and teach them, and they are able to enjoy and the consistency of eating right. And then they can superimpose some fasting to accelerate their healing, or superimpose intermittent fasting on the excellent basic foundation of healthy eating that they've developed. Because if they haven't first developed that foundation of healthy eating and learned what we're talking about here today, that's also not going to lead to success either. It's more that looking for instantaneous results, trying to get feel better, and the idea that people can lose weight rapidly and keep it off. Well, that the whole thing is not even makes sense, because unless you stick to doing what you did all to lose the weight, it's not going to stay lost. It's like The Biggest Loser. They can lose some weight, but what good is that if they're not going to? If they haven't developed a pattern of behavior and living that they can maintain for the rest of your life, you're not going to maintain those benefits. So unless you can live and use intermittent fasting and incorporate in your life in a way that's ongoing and continuous, you're not going to have long-term benefits from anything you do short-term. It's only what you do day. So I may utilize intermittent fasting, and by skipping dinner a few nights a week, or just having a vegetable juice one night a week, and or trying to eat, but I'm going to try to do that continually for the rest of my life. It's not something I'm just doing now. And whatever you do, you have to develop a schedule and a lifestyle that you're comfortable in living with forever.
Yeah.
And we're trying to teach people.
Discipline as well.
Right. We're trying to teach people something they can reproduce at home. And to teach people, in my books and my teachings and these lectures and what we're doing here on today, is to teach people to develop a style of living and eating that's going to stay with them long-term, to lead to long-term benefits for their life, and develop them and give them the maximum ability to be healthy and happy. And we're going to incorporate all these things that are good for them. But again, intermittent fasting is one piece of the whole pie. And yes, we know that that one of the things that I explain it somewhat different. I say going to bed on a full stomach is not good for your health. Eating late at night, eating a heavy meal late in the evening is not good. And going to bed with food digesting is not as healthy as consuming your calories earlier in the day and going to bed after digestion has finished. When you hit that pillow at night, you shouldn't be in the process of digesting. You should be healing and resting and repairing. And other people may call that intermittent fasting. And I'm just saying, eat dinner light enough and early enough so you finish digesting before you go to bed to dinner, because that's going to make you happiest and healthiest. And a calorie consumed at night is going to be almost twice as much as fat storing as a calorie consumed early in the day. It's really not twice as much, like 1.5 times as much. But the point I'm making is the calories you eat late are going to interfere with you losing weight, and we're better off going to the bed, getting that idea, that concept of the timing of our calories also is important to a degree.
Okay, so what are some tips that we can have? Because I know setting ourselves up for success, I've got my little salad bar now in the refrigerator so that I can have my salads for lunch or whenever I want to eat something. So what are some of the tips that you can impart on us, some pearls that you can impart on us as we finish up our podcast today?
Well, we said a lot of stuff today that's kind of hard for people to grasp, and it's going to require some thinking and study. But I think the simple things they start with are changing their lunch. That's the one tip, is that we make the lunch relatively simple and reproducible day after day. It's a salad with a healthy dressing that's made with nuts and seeds, not with oil and salt. It's nuts and seeds blended with vinegar and tomato sauce and orange, and mango. And we're making all these salad dressings that are healthy and delicious, that the dressing has to be healthy. It's a salad with a healthy dressing and a bowl of vegetable bean soup and a piece of fruit for dessert. It's relatively simple. If the whole country did a salad, a vegetable bean soup, and a piece of fruit for dessert, we'd have a completely different healthcare system and crisis, and we'd save so many lives just from that one. Okay, the second thing is dinner is not the main meal of the day. Try to make your dinner somewhat lighter in calories than your lunch. Eat dinner early. And when you're done with eating dinner and making the food, clean up the kitchen, make your kitchen spotless. Clean your teeth, water pick, floss, close down the restaurant, shut it down, and don't go back to eat again after you're done eating at 6 o'clock at night. If you're done eating at 6 o'clock or 6:30, whenever it is, 7 o'clock, do not eat anything when you finish dinner. Don't eat dinner till you're full. Be aware that you have to stop eating before you get full. Get up from the table, be comfortable enough so you could go play volleyball or go ride a bike, or don't eat till you're stuffed. Eat dinner early. And if you ate too little and you got a little hungry at bedtime, just drink a glass of water and go to bed. And you'll eventually adjust this so you're not too hungry before bedtime. But these are the two tips I'm giving people. One is shut down the restaurant, clean your kitchen, clean your teeth, and don't go back. And make lunch the meal when you take the time to chew really well, to masticate that salad to a liquid in your mouth, and get all these magnificent healing nutrients into your body. So whether you had a large dinner or not, or whether you had time, you just had maybe a little frozen broccoli, you just had some hummus dip with raw vegetables, whatever it is you had to eat, or you grabbed something, it didn't matter because you had that good, healthy lunch. That's the foundation of your dietary portfolio.
I love it. And, today I made the goddess dressing. So every day, every time that I need to make a new dressing, I make it and I take the time. It is amazing. I really love doing the infection protection, but for those of you who would like to do the 10 and 20, the diabetes transformation, there's so many different, PDFs that you can purchase off of drfuhrman.com. So that you can kick off and get started, because sabotage will set in. And like, for example, if I don't have that salad bar in there, it's really easy to go in there and grab whatever real quick. And batch cook. One of the things that I love is to make the recipe, make it double, and then freeze whatever I don't use. So that way I can maybe have a quick meal the following week. So those are some of the tips that I've learned. And when you eat this way, you don't crave. And so, Dr. Fuhrman, I know we have 2 minutes left, and you have been and I want to let you know that I'm going to ask a couple of questions when we're done with the podcast here. But is there anything else that you would like to talk about emotional that we haven't talked about before today?
Yes, absolutely. Because the same thing you asked me about food, what is the few tips? They have to start out by being aware of having this mindful attitude of looking for things to like in this world. One thing you appreciate, the structure of, the aesthetics of, that you appreciate, that could be music, the scenery, a tree, a plant, a flower, a person. You have to appreciate the world around you and you have to have something you're grateful for each day too. And part of that gratitude, so you have to have the artist way of seeing the universe, seeing the world, trying to appreciate the world around you, and the scientific way of seeing the world, and being able to look with your X-ray vision to know what's in the food you're eating, so you can have gratitude and appreciate for the beauty and the aesthetic structure and scientific integrity and complicated effective. That piece of broccoli has more than 500 different nutrients in there. And they're put there in a way, in a complicated manner, to protect our precious health. And we're chewing that broccoli. We're marveling at the fact that there's 500 different things in there that are going to benefit us. It's not taking a vitamin pill like vitamin A or vitamin C. There's 100 different complicated substances that have incredible effects on protecting our DNA from damage and suppressing genetic alterations. And the more we learn about the beauty of that, the more we're grateful for the fact that we were able to have, in the modern world, we can actually go down and get organic broccoli or frozen broccoli florets. Somebody's actually blanching that broccoli and cutting off the most softest top and putting it in a bag for us. We can get by a box of broccoli florets from the supermarket. There's so many. So we have to be grateful for the world around us and look to like things, not to diminish things. That's another very important point.
Well, I really do appreciate it, and I am grateful for you, Dr. Fuhrman. I know we all are. We have some questions after we say goodbye here for the podcast. So for those of you who are listening on podcast, feel free to join us live on Facebook and at YouTube. And please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott and Dr. Joel Fuhrman wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
Couple questions, Dr. Fuhrman. I'm going to take the first one from Jeanette. Her question is, what does Dr. Fuhrman think about wearing masks? Does it help us? Also, are you having a summer vacation summit in Naples, Florida as scheduled?
No, the Naples event is canceled. But I'm having an August weight loss challenge event. We're actually going to give out $500 prizes for people who lose weight and lose weight. But we're having an event on Zoom, like an event, but it's going to be like a couple of weeks on the internet, because of the COVID-19. We had to cancel the Naples event. But we do have on the schedule an event in Italy for October of 2021. That's, of course, 15 months from now. We're hoping things calm down. We're still going to revisit that vacation in Italy together with a bunch of people, but of course, hoping it's better by that point. The other part of your question was?
The masks, yeah.
The masks. Well, the CDC says, if you can't maintain social distancing of at least 6 feet, then masks may be useful. So I don't think being outdoors away from people wearing a mask is important, but the mask could protect you if a person actually coughs in your direction or is infected. If you're around enough people and you're close enough to them, then the mask could protect them if you are sick and you don't know it, or you're sick and you do know it. So and the mask could give you the duality of them wearing a mask and you wearing a mask, offer some degree of protection. If you're elderly and sickly, it's better to get a better quality mask that gives you more, seals your face a little bit better. Let's say you're traveling in an elevator in New York City and you're, in your 80s and you're not that healthy and you would in there close to other people in an elevator situation where you can't maintain a 6 foot, then you should get a better quality mask. So it depends on the individual. It's not important for us people who are, we're not getting close to other people, we're keeping our distance, and it's more important to, so it has some benefits to it. So some benefits to wearing masks for people, especially when they can't maintain social distancing or in an environment where that can help them. If I'm working in the hospitals around people who could be sick, I'd be having the mask with this facial shield over it, and I'd want to be protecting myself from being sick. You want to use, the higher the risk, the higher the exposure to virins, to more the size of the inoculum or whatever the viral particles are there, the more protection you need. So those particles, you're protecting yourself from a higher percentage of those particles invading the body, because the chance of being infected has to do with the size of the exposure. And the mask can limit the size of the exposure when you're in an area where you have the potential of large exposure, especially in a hospital or something like that, especially for health professionals or people around sick people and then have to care for them too,
But if you are healthy, as a nutritarian is normally healthy, the immune system will be able to be strong enough to not respond as severe as somebody who is sick, right?
Well, I think the real people that are real nutritarians that are slim and healthy are not going to be hurt by COVID-19. That doesn't mean we go out there and expose ourselves intentionally, test that, because there's no advantage to doing that. You might as well. So yes, it's certainly the primary defense is not the mask. The primary defense is what is not keeping junk food out of your hands, not your hands.
That's right.
Face.
That's yeah.
The primary defense is what you eat. And if people aren't a nutritarian now in this era of COVID-19, then there's something wrong with their psychology.
Or maybe they've never heard of you. It's like so people, until the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And so, that's basically what happens. And once you start becoming curious instead of critical, many people think that, oh, I can't eat that way. I can never give up a piece of meat. I could never give up my piece of pie. And what I tell them is, don't think of it as giving up anything. Look at embracing health. And embracing health is so much more powerful than giving up a piece of meat. And as well as the food that we eat as nutritarians is so delicious. If they just open and expand their minds, like this last week, I know that your food, the food I made that was nutritarian, it was life-changing to some people. To be able to eat something that was that good and that healthy. And I told them, it's food to live for. And that's what I'm going to do from now on. I'm not going to apologize. And if they want to make fun of me, that's fine. They can go hungry. They won't, if they skip a meal, it won't hurt them. So I'm going to make my food, and that's the way it is. Okay. So we have one more question from Antonio. He says, no oils, no omega-6. Okay. For promotions 6-3, but omega-3 from plants, flax and testosterone. Does it lower testosterone, as keto doctors say, in order to point fish as a way to get omega-3s?
How much longer are we going to go on in these Q&As right now?
That's it. This is the last question.
This is the last question.
Okay. Unless you want to go longer. I mean.
No, I can't. I have to go to the bathroom. I've been trying to send you that in the chat for a while, but I can't.
Sorry, I wasn't looking. Okay. Do you want to go?
If this is the last question, I'll just answer.
This last question.
Okay. Because it's a really complicated question with a lot of, yes, we need essential fatty acids, and we get that from eating real food like nuts and seeds. But a vegan diet is not the diet that the human species has been designed on and developed on the last 30,000 years. There are lots of us that need a source of preformed DHA because we're not all biological robots. We don't make enough. Some of us don't make enough, and some of us do, by the way, can get enough omega-3 by enough DHA, the long-chain omega-3, from the short-chain omega-3 in flaxseed and chia seed and leafy green vegetables. Others of us can't. And that's the one caveat, which I don't want to mess people up and hurt people with neurologic deficits or problems later in life by assuming that their diet is going to supply them with the right amount. That's where a blood test for omega-3 index is helpful. So yes, I do recommend that people include some ground flax seeds and chia seeds and hemp seeds and walnuts in their diet, in addition to all the leafy greens. I want them to eat some high omega-3 nuts and seeds. So I'm eating some omega-6 predominant nuts and seeds, like pecans and pistachio nuts and cashews, yes, but I'm also trying to be cognizant of consuming some omega-3 nuts and seeds so my body has all those different raw materials that it needs to have comprehensive nutritional adequacy.
Okay.
But I'm also aware that the potential exists even with my consuming of my nuts and my flax seeds and chia seeds. And by the way, flax seeds and chia seeds have other anti-cancer benefits besides just their omega-3 content. It's not even necessarily the reason we're eating them. But I'm also cognizant that there is the need for taking preformed DHA, and we get that from a vegan algae oil. Some people get it from fish oil, but I'd much prefer they use a vegan algae oil that can be refrigerated, not get rancid. So I'm cognizant that most people need that to maximize their long-term health. And if you think you don't need that, then at least you should confirm that with a blood test and not gamble your health on some philosophy or opinion that may be wrong. Because what I can answer that question directly all the studies that looked at the omega-3 index showed that as the index got lower, you had a higher risk of dementia and brain shrinkage proportional to the lowering of the omega-3 index number. So as your number gets lower, that's the omega-3, omega-6 balance in your membranes of your cells, that as that number gets more negative, you have more potential risk of developing brain shrinkage and dementia with aging. And you can't fix that once you shrunk the brain later.
And what is the testing that you said that you can take, that you can test it?
The omega-3 index.
Index.
So even the people who are taking my DHA supplement, even those people should eventually get a blood test so they could modulate the dose to make sure their index level says is above 5 in the most favorable range. Not to keep checking it all the time, but at least once you're doing this for a long time, get it to check that you're okay. So I'm a little more cautious because I recognize that even though a vegan nutritarian diet most likely has most lifespan advantages, there's still some nutrients that are necessary, that can be helpful to maximize human longevity and health, that are not present, that are not strong in that type of a diet, meaning zinc, iodine, K2, vitamin D, and DHA are the primary ones. But DHA is probably, and B12, of course, but B12 and DHA are probably the most important nutrients to make sure you have adequate as your diet becomes more and more vegan. B12 and DHA are probably the most important ones.
Very good. Well, I'll let that be the final word since I know you need to go. You literally need to go. Thank you, Dr. Fuhrman. Thank you, everybody, for being a part of tonight's class. And we will see you next month, right?
That's right.
Okay. Take care. Bye.
Bye.